Hello and welcome to Lifelong Scribe. And today we're going to be talking about History of Magic, Witchcraft and the Occult, a book by DK. This is quite a good book overall and I enjoyed reading it. Because of the very nature of a book like this, it covers an awful lot of topics but not in great depth. The results are that you have more of a springboard into further research than a deep understanding of each topic covered. However, as a beginner book, a starting point for further reading, or a historical overview, this book is really good. The authors and contributors sound legitimate, with them being professors, historians and authors, so we'd like to hope that the information given is accurate. That said, with these topics there's always some issues where facts can be hard to pin down, such as them citing 50,000 people being executed during the European witch craze, whereas I've heard slightly different numbers in Gaskell's Witchcraft short introduction, which I referred to before. However, as it depends on the countries and timeline they are looking at, if they are looking at the arrests versus those executed, and many other facts, neither book is necessarily wrong, and the numbers are similar. Furthermore, this number doesn't sound exaggerated. This does highlight the difficulty with trying to look at such a topic, however. Records are old, definitions are vague, different cultures practiced magic in different ways, and viewed different things as magic. All this impacts on the final impression you come away with to write your book. I feel that this book does a good job at trying to cover all of this in a fairly impartial way. The sections of this book are as follows: Ancient Roots, Curse or Cure, Scholars and Sabbats, Secrecy and Ceremony, Modern Magic. The good thing about this is they try to present a chronology of sorts, which makes reading through this book interesting, as you can see how one belief builds on another, especially in the latter sections with the European occult movements. I think you would still find it interesting as a book to dip into for one or two points, but it was surprisingly interesting to actually read through start to finish because of this structure. This book covers so many different topics, including prehistoric beliefs, curses, plants and their properties, Chinese magic, the Finns and the Sami and their beliefs, magic in the Vedas, tarot, Kabbalah, the Theban alphabet, astrology, and much, much more, including more widely heard of topics such as Wicca. And that's just to name a few. In the section on protective objects, they put objects as diverse as the Eye of Horus and scarab beetle amulets with Christian relics and the crucifix. Much like in Magic: A Short Introduction, every item of religious importance becomes equated with a magical item. I talked about the problems that can bring and where I think the differences might lie between the two in that video, which I will link above. I was pleased to see that they mentioned things that are often left out of books on magic and old religions, such as the sacrifices made to Odin, this often being left out in an attempt to make these old religions feel fluffier and friendlier than they were, or bringing up the point that some people were against the witch trials, which I found very interesting, and that there were less executions in Catholic countries than Protestant ones. Nonetheless, there are a few places where things feel a little oversimplified to the point of maybe painting some sides badly. For example, one of the passages describes the Catholic Church as intolerant of any non-Christian rituals or magic that it saw as a threat to its supremacy. While supremacy may have been a part of this, it ignores the genuine threat people felt from magic and people believing worldviews they thought were threatening to the very foundations of society and their world. I touched on it on my Magic Short Introduction review, and you can read more on Witchcraft Short Introduction, which I'll review shortly. But I touched on some of this argument in my Witches review, all of which are linked. Another sentence I found strange was, the Franciscan missionaries who arrived in Mexico in 1524 were horrified to hear of human sacrifice, despite their own Christian notions of the self-sacrifice of God's Son. It seems strange to me to equate the two. It sounds like they buy into the transactional notion of atonement, i.e. Jesus died to buy back our sins from God or the devil, which is a problematic view and not one held by all Christians. Furthermore, there is a qualitative difference between one person volunteering to sacrifice themselves for others and thousands of captives being brutally murdered to feed/appease the gods. So a very strange and charged comparison there I would be wary of. And finally I found it odd that from the section on Wicca onwards, the author seems to make a big deal about modern magic not harming. But this is not strictly true when you can find plenty of binding and banishing spells, friendship souring spells and so on within the witchcraft movement, especially during the internet age. That is not to say that all those practicing witchcraft reveal intent either, just that the book leans on a more Wicca, fluffy side of modern magic. I'd heard of a lot of the subjects touched upon in this book before, but I did enjoy that they included topics such as voodoo, mesmerism and hypnotism, and stage magic, just to name a few. And many of these sections showed how ideas built on ones that had come before. This book has lovely art and photos to illustrate each section and to show off the different items they're talking about. In conclusion, I would say this was a good book, especially as a starting point, both for people who are completely new to the topic and those who want a historical overview of the topic or want to maybe discover something that they haven't previously known about. Definitely give it a read if you can. If you do read this book, please let me know what you think of it. I'd be curious to hear your opinions on it. And that's everything I've got for you for this week. See you next time. Bye for now.